says Mullen is definitely not the guy. Every problem is his doing. You can't just get a new DC and expect Mullen to be a new coach. He will never change. He must be fired. Yeah, he's stubborn. And football coaches are the most stubborn human beings, in my opinion, on the planet. And the only way to change that is when you lose. And Dan Mullen hasn't lost like this before. Dan Mullen had a lot of success at Mississippi State. He hasn't lost like this at Florida. In his first year, Florida lost to Kentucky, Missouri, and Georgia in 2018. But those were losses. They were a couple of head scratchers, but it was his first year in the program, and they ended the season on the right track. This season, you're already seeing it started taking a toll on recruiting. He's already lost a couple of his big recruits for the class of, I guess it would be 22. So recruiting should change, I think, a little bit, or it should, after you get the football only facility. And then offensively, I don't think anything will change. But I'm not willing to go 100% yet that Dan Mullen isn't the guy, and that you need to get rid of him. You have your quarterback for the future, Anthony Richardson. Defense needs a new guy. And Dan Mullen's still a good coach. I mean, if I know this isn't what's happened, but if you look at everything Dan Mullen did previous of Alabama, I think most Florida fans would tell you that he's done a good job, that he is a great offensive personnel and yada, yada, yada. And it hasn't been like that the last couple of weeks. Now, a lot of that, you could say he's lost a lot of dudes to the NFL on the outside. Florida this season doesn't have someone to take the top off the defense, which makes it more difficult that you had last year with Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts. The offensive line isn't as good. But I'm not willing to go as far as to, we need to get rid of Mullen just because he's not having a good season. You make a good point here. Senator, recruiting matters when you're having a bad game. In a bad game, your high-ranked recruits can outplay mistakes. Every team has a bad game during the season. Yeah, that's exactly correct. And I wonder what's just the way that the program is at right now. Florida. If you go back to the very end of 2020, going into the LSU game, Florida's 8-1. Only loss is to A&M on a game-winning field goal as time expired. And since then, they lost to LSU, they lost to Oklahoma, and they're 4-4. And you're number 4 for Florida. And one of the big things is, this wasn't a big thing today, and this has nothing to do with why Florida lost, but no Trent Whittemore, no Rick Wells, guys that have been productive and played receiver for Florida all year. And the receiver group isn't as talented as it was last year. So a receiver group that isn't as good just got thinner for today's game. Copeland wasn't much of a factor again. Again, I guess this is part of the personnel, or I don't know if he's covered up every time there's Florida targets him on offense. He doesn't get any catches or much of any production in the first half of any game, as Copeland finished with 2 catches for 27 yards. Shorter finished with 4 catches and only. So this is how it was for Florida receiving. Shorter, Gamble, Henderson, and Davis all had 4 catches each. Zipper and Copeland had 2, and then Weston and Wright had 1. So, and Florida this season hasn't used a tight end nowhere near like they did last year. I understand you don't have Kyle Pitts, but Gamble and Zipper looked pretty promising last year. You saw the plays they made last year. You go, okay, they're gonna get some reps in the offseason. They're gonna get time in spring, and they're gonna get better. And nothing's shown for that. You don't have the guy to take the top off the defense. The run blocking hasn't been nowhere near the same as it was in the first 4 games. Florida was running like at best in the nation with like just under 400 yards a game. And the LSU, Kentucky, and this game today against Georgia, Florida's had right under 200. So, the success rate for Florida is running the football. No, you played a pretty good defense in Georgia today, and that's their MO. But, if you're not able to run the football, Anthony Richardson needs the run game so he can take the ball off and throw it, take the top off the defense. And that's something neither team did today, Florida or Georgia. Richardson couldn't, there was no threat to throw it downfield, or no threat of the run. So, the guys didn't need to buy it. And they tried a couple trick plays. Davis on a halfback pass. They didn't buy it. Mullen tried a double pass with Jones at quarterback and Richardson at receiver, and Georgia didn't bite. So they tried it. But again, I mean, if for a defense, when you have to account for multiple things, that's when things break down. And for Georgia, the run game was never a threat. So that's why, when you try to double pass or halfback pass, they didn't really bite. So Senator asked the question, watching Mullen, I have to ask, does he want to be there or somewhere else? I don't think he does. I understand things are bad, but he just got a contract extension before the start of this season, along with him and Mike White. I think it was in June or July in the summer. He's not going anywhere. I know a lot of people aren't happy. The performance hasn't been good this season. He's not going anywhere. The buyout's too big. It would be something catastrophic, as in Jim McElwain faking a death threat or something happening off the field that doesn't have to do with football for him to be fired. That's just my opinion. Not saying that's right or wrong, but he's not going anywhere. So, I mean, you can try and talk about it, but it would take for him to lose 2 of the last 4 games and him to bomb next season for Florida to seriously consider firing him and letting him go. Senator also drops in. Gators were supposed to be in rebuild mode this year, but a strong loss against Bama made people think otherwise. Is this a rebuild year or is this a new look Gators? No, this is a rebuild year for sure. It's just what surprised most Florida fans is that it's Florida. What they were the first 4 games has been completely different from what they have been since. Again, they played good defense. They ran the ball for almost 400 yards a game against FAU, USF, Bama, Tennessee, and it's been a complete opposite since. I don't know what has changed. I talked with Jeff Cardozo on the Florida Gator channel, and there were 3 linemen that were hurt for Kentucky, but it's just been and every loss has been different. That's another thing. The Alabama game, you fall behind. The players aren't able to succeed on 3rd down, stopping Alabama. That's not coaching, in my opinion. That's the players not making a play. Again, coaching is just putting the players in position to make plays. So the Alabama game, you couldn't stop them on 3rd down. The Kentucky game, the offense couldn't do nothing, and that was probably Mullens' worst performance on offense. Defense played well that game. The LSU game, the defense couldn't stop anything, and LSU scores almost half 100, and your offense scores 42. Anytime your offense scores 42, you should win that game, period, point blank. And LSU ran 1 play. So Bama, you fall behind. Kentucky, you can't score. LSU, you can't stop them. And then today, it was kind of a mix of both. Although I thought the defense played well, you just couldn't score against the Georgia defense. You couldn't score against the Georgia defense. And on offense, it was just you couldn't. The way for Florida to succeed on offense is to run the ball. And when you give Georgia short fields, good luck, because they ran off 21 points in a span of just 2 to 3 minutes. and then they ended up winning. I think it was what was the final? It was 34-7.